This is Dan Dodds. I'm a family law attorney in Surprise, Arizona, and we're going to shoot a three-part series on safety in the marriage relationship. Today, I just want to introduce the issue about safety to you or your children as a result of unfortunate overuse of alcohol or drugs. Does it matter? How does a court look at it? Well, first of all, it absolutely matters. Children are the 800-pound gorilla in a courtroom that courts pay a lot of attention to. Well, if they're not there, how can a court pay attention to them? They are the most important thing a judge is looking at when they're making decisions. So if children's safety is at risk because of one or both of the parents' alcohol or drug-induced issues, that is not a good thing for either parent. So let's talk about how a court would evaluate that. I myself grew up with an alcoholic father. He loved me and my brother, but he was abusive at times. Did a court pay attention to that? Well, no, because my mother never went for the divorce. But here's the deal. Some people recover on their own. My father did. Most do not. It gets worse, it gets worse, it gets worse. They start experimenting with different kinds of alcohol and drugs, and it's a disaster. And in a divorce that has children, they want to protect the children. So, how would a court look at that? Well, testimony. Can the wife or a relative or next door neighbor say, I saw him do this, was this and this and this? Yes, that's important. But action's important. If you just sit and you don't do anything about it, you don't call the police, you don't call and take the children in for medical examinations, you don't tell the school counselor the child's in an abusive situation with someone. Overlooking that action step is not going to be a good thing for you in a courtroom, because you have a responsibility as a caring, loving parent to protect those children. So yeah, the first time it happens, maybe you don't do anything. But if you just don't keep a diary, you never called the police, you never told the school counselor, you never told your priest or your religious minister, you didn't tell anybody. Well, that doesn't plead well out in a court, because they think you're trying to dig up trash to buttress your position. So act quickly when it's occurring. Now, that doesn't mean you call them immediately. Get a little diary started. Date, Dan did this. Date, Dan again slapped somebody. Dan again threw me into the fence, to the wall, and broke the sheetrock. At some point, though, you got to quit keeping a diary. You need to get help, and that's where your police departments, your safe house options of contacting them to get some protection help, telling your physician, telling the teachers, telling the counselor. Tell people that have a responsibility by law to be a reporter, or you yourself. Make a complaint to whatever state you're in that has it. In Arizona, it's Children's Services Department. Make them aware of what's going on. Do not engage the spouse that's drinking or high on drugs, because they can become incredibly dangerous and strong. And so is it possible that a 5', 105-pound lady could physically hurt a 158 or 70-pound man? Absolutely. They could take a pot and bang him in the head. They could stick him with a knife. They could throw something and knock him out. So size and sex doesn't make any difference. What you need to focus on, the violence, the breakdown in the safety of the family unit. That's what you need to focus on. So I'll try and be more specific in the following videos about what that might look like if you're the spouse, or what it might look like if it's your children, or if you have elderly parents staying in your home. So we'll talk about those things to give you some good guidelines so that the worst of possible options doesn't happen to you.